Welcome to yet another edition of Golic and Smetty. I am Mike Golic Sr. She is Jess Smetana, Jessica Smetana, Smetty, however you want to go. You have way more nicknames than I do. We are in the, as they say, the dog days of summer, right as training camps are starting, right after the baseball all-star game, basketball's over, hockey's over. So we're kind of in that transition time, but there is always some things going on. We're going to get to the football side where we have a clause in a contract that is one I have never heard of before in my life, and I've seen some clauses, so we'll get to that. But of course, Jess, you know what we have to start with. The last time we talked, you had coming off vacation where you basically had really been doing nothing, which is exactly what you should be doing on vacation. And you talked about the first thing that you were going to bake, which I think was going to be some sort of fruit pie product or some sort of product that included fruit. Is that the road you went down?
I'm still in vacation brain mode, Mike. I have not baked now in about 3 weeks.
Come on, Jess.
I know. I feel really
I live
ashamed
for
of myself.
this.
You know what I did make though, Mike? I don't know if I know a Trader Joe's recently opened in South Bend.
Yes.
But I've heard Trader Joe's be described as the grocery store that people go to who don't know how to cook. And that is absolutely true because you can buy any type of food there that's like pretty much already pre-made and you just pop it in the oven. I got these those Brazilian cheese puff things and I made those for lunch today. 6 minutes in the oven, Mike. I highly recommend. I think you would really enjoy them.
See, I find right now, Jess, and I'm not sure I like it, that you're deflecting right now.
How am I deflecting?
You're deflecting to why.
I baked something. It was pre-made, but I baked it.
No, you know what I talk about when I'm talking about bacon. I'm talking about the good stuff, not some Brazilian cheese puffs.
Cheese.
Okay, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure I would like it. But 3 weeks now where you haven't baked some sort of goodie, I mean, your boyfriend's, got to not be happy about it. The guys over at the Lebetard show
They're
have to not be happy about it.
You know what, Mike? Okay, since I know Stu Gatz will not listen to this, a little birdie told me that he's turning 50 this week.
Yes.
Okay, so we were thinking of ideas for how to celebrate his 50th birthday, and one of the ideas was to bake him a cake full of lies. And so I said, what does that mean? Like, in theory, it sounds like a good idea, but how do you make a cake full of lies? Are we replacing sugar with sand? Are we putting in fake ingredients?
Right.
But, of course, that wouldn't work because baking is chemistry. So you can't just replace ingredients and it will bake. And so then I thought, what if we, got, a cardboard cylinder and then iced it like a cake?
There
and then
you go.
Gave it to him and he tried to cut into it.
Yes.
And it was not an actual cake. It was a lie that we baked him a cake. And everyone really liked that idea. However, in the true spirit of the Dan Lebetard show, there has been zero follow-up on it. So it remains to be seen if a cake full of lies will be baked this week before his birthday. Stu Gatz may not even come into work the rest of the week. We don't really know. So that's kind of up there floating around in the ether now as a baking project.
First and foremost, I know exactly why there's been no follow-up because outside of you, everybody, they're all guys. And guy, listen, I'm one and I admit it. We suck at that stuff. I mean, if this world was run by women, we'd be in a lot better place.
I agree with
that.
There's
because we suck. I mean, we're looking how we're screwing it up now. I mean, my God. So that I think what you have to do, Jess, you have to grab the bull by the horns. You have to just make that cake, unless it's so time intensive that it's not worth your time. Because you're right. Stu may not even show up.
Exactly. And I don't want to put in...
Yeah.
I get that. Even if I don't have to bake the cake, I'm still going to have to construct something out of cardboard.
Yes.
I'm going to have to make all the icing, which is the messiest part of all of it. And then the decorating is it's such a mess. And then if I show up with this cake on Thursday and he's not there, then the joke's on me, Mike.
I get it. I can't blame you one bit for not doing that. I mean, and again, it's not your fault. It is the fault of every guy on that show.
Else.
Oh, it's exactly right.
Nothing is my fault. It's everyone else's fault.
I would agree. And if I ever am on that show again, I will tell them all that. And then it'll probably be the last time I'd be on that show. But
speaking of you being on that show, you are on God Bless Football
Yes, that's
with
true,
Stu
yes.
Gatz during football season and even outside of football season. And
Yeah.
I was wondering, since now we're going into our first football season together as co-hosts, what is your plan going to be for where you will be delivering the goods? Like, will you be, spilling it all out on God Bless Football and then giving me your secondary opinions? Or are you just going to say everything twice? Or is this going to be your main outlet and Stugatz gets all the crumbs? How are we going to work that out?
I plan on being, now we will, the way we do this, we'll tape our show earlier in the week,
Okay.
and God Bless Football is later in the week. You will both will get my A game.
Okay.
I certainly will not slight this. This has my name on the show. This has your name on the show.
That is true.
So this will get the maximum effort without question, from guest to our conversation as well. And God Bless Football. Listen, we'll continue doing that. That I'll give that the full use as well. So I don't plan to back off on anything. I don't plan on holding back from anything. Maybe if I go on Mike Jr.'s show, Gojo, maybe I'll hold back on that one.
I think that's a good idea.
They're so full of shit. It's amazing. So they every other weekend or every other week they have me or Stu on the last day of the week. They also, here's where I will give them credit though, and this is truly from the Stugatz, School of Broadcasting, is Mike and Brandon are able to now only work 4 days a week because it's the summer, so they can prep more for the start of the football season. So they're getting paid the same to work less, which is really the American dream, other than hitting this lottery, which is, over $800
right?
million.
Are you buying a lottery ticket right now?
Jess, I've bought probably 40 lottery tickets already. So
okay,
yes.
Well, then you're probably the reason that we've gotten over the 800.
Exactly,
million
and
threshold.
we go around to different spots. Like Chris was just in Arizona; she got some out there. I was just in Chicago and Philly, so I got some in those spots. So we get them all over the place, and of course, I think they said it's a 1 in 330 million chance to win. You have better odds of having, I think, quintuplets or something like that. I think that's what they said.
Several holes in one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but you got to play, right? I mean, I don't care if you buy one ticket. I know we've sidetracked here, but I mean,
I
God.
like this topic. This is sports to me.
Well,
someone's got to win and everyone's got to lose.
And by the way, when we're taping this, it's the day before the drawing. The drawing, by the time people are listening to this, the drawing will have already happened. But I mean, don't you sit there and think about what you would do with that money if you won? Everybody does it, right?
Everyone does that. You have all these fantastical ideas of all these things you'll do. We actually talked about this on an episode of Mystery Crate a few weeks ago because I said that I have a lottery pact with one of my friends, and one of our producers rightly said that's the best way to get murdered is having like a lottery pact with someone.
Yeah.
But she plays Mega Millions on her phone because you can do that in New York now. You can play it on your phone. She plays like every day, and she's won like $6. So she's had some success, Mike. But we have a pact, and I told her if I won, I would give her half, and if she won, she would give me half. But the catch is that I don't actually play because I
so you just taking the money.
Let her
now,
do it.
Do you think, now you have just publicly admitted you don't even play, so you put no money into it. Do you think if she actually won, that somehow, some way she would, by law, try and get out of it because you just now admitted you never buy a ticket?
I think she would pay up. Well, like, what is one person going to do? We made this agreement when it was only at like 250 million.
All right.
Do
you think she would pay up half? Or maybe say, you know what, I'll give you, 100 mil.
20% or something, yeah.
Yeah.
If she wants to give me 100 mil, I'll say
good?
fine. You know what? You're right. Fine. I'll take it. Thank you. I know that must have been, I'm taking so much less now, but I'm such a good friend. I'll take the 100 mil and I'll walk away. Thank you.
It's like you're sacrificing to just take
it's a huge I sacrifice the other 100 mil because if it's like 800 million, right? Government probably takes half, so I got 400. So she's giving me like 25% instead of 50%. So
I don't even know, and I'd like someone to tell me.
I'm making a sacrifice here, Mike.
Like how the payout works because it's like 830 million. They say the payout will be like, I don't know, 690 million, but then you still got to pay taxes. So if you win that, and now listen, you're still in good shape, but I wonder,
good shape, I would
at
say.
the end of the day, how much they actually take, because we do it. We have 4 ways. We have me and Chris, Mike, and nobody because it's just Mike. And his mother reminds him of that a lot.
Harsh.
Yes, we have Sydney and Ben, and we have Jake and Jenny. So everybody kind of buys tickets on their own, but we have the same pact. If somebody hits, we're going to split it 4 ways. We're going to split it amongst the family and do it that way. So what, do you have something that you would buy right out of the gate?
Well, I feel like I would be philanthropic with most of it.
Yeah.
I'd probably pay off all my grandma's debts with half of it because she's like, addicted to QVC, like a lot of women her age. And then I'd probably have like $1 million left after I dealt with her. So not sure what I would do with the remainder of that. But yeah, I think it's human nature to think like, what would I do with all this money? And the answer is most people have big ideas and then, a series of unfortunate events befall them because it's more money than probably most people can handle.
and you've heard the stories of how people just spend it all. And sometimes I go too far down the rabbit hole with this because you start thinking then, okay, before I even think about what I'm going to buy with it, is like how many people, how far does the family extend that I don't know if obligated is the right word, where you feel you need to step in and give something, pay off a house, give some money. I mean, where does it go? Does it go to, from my side of the family, my brother's kids, Chris's sister, her kids,
And then all these fourth cousins start calling that you've never heard of before. And you're like, how are we related again?
Yeah. I think I'm stopping it. I think, Jess, I'm stopping at cousins. And I'd say, okay, I'll look at family, brothers, kids on my side for Chris, sister, kids, and go from there. Her mom, my mom, kind of figure out what everybody kind of needs. But at some point, and then I'm with you, a ton would go the philanthropic way of who we could help. Right. But now talking about the money that you're actually going to use is how far, because everybody's coming out of the woodwork. Here's the other thing, another quick aside. Would you, forgetting the family because they would eventually find out, would you make it public you won?
No, I think that's always the wrong call.
I agree.
My friend actually told me like she has a whole plan for how she would like create, a company under a different name and then accept the money through like she's got this whole thing planned out. And it sounds very calculated and it's actually a little scary how much she's thought about it, Mike. My other question for you, like when you think of family, you're going to cut it off at cousins. What about your podcast family? Like, how much hypothetically, if you had like a podcast co-host who you knew really well, they supported you and went to your golf outing, maybe they even like won a closest to the pin award there. Like, what kind of dough would that person maybe get?
They would get nothing. Nothing. They would get. I mean, if we're out
they're friends
somewhere,
with your kids. They're they went to school with your kids.
Well, I mean, you're friends with my kids. If they feel like giving you something, that's certainly up to them. I will certainly. Let me put it this way. Yeah, you want to text one kid. Who do you think? I don't know who you knew. You went to school with Sid, but you know all my kids. I don't know. So, who do you think of my 3 kids would actually give you money?
Mike. I think I could get Mike to give me money.
Yeah, I think Mike's probably the sucker or the kid that could get talked to. You would never buy a drink around me again. I would always pick up your drinks.
Okay.
But
I'm never going to buy a drink around you anyway. So.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I'm going to make you pay for all of those regardless.
Yeah, I probably would anyway. But man, I mean, everybody dreams about it. Everybody thinks about it. Boy.
Someone's got to win. Why not you? Why not Sid?
I think the biggest pot was $1.5 billion. So I think now we're up to like the 3rd or 4th highest amount. And you don't play, so I'm not even asking you. You're going to get half of a pot and you don't even play. That's such bullshit. But you know what? I hope there you go. If you did play, I'm sure you've played at some point. Do you just know? I mean,
I've done like scratch offs, but I don't think I've ever played like Mega Millions.
Because I think this time, while I get quick picks that's where the machine just spits out numbers for you, I might pick numbers this time. Like go to old jersey numbers and and try that
all the years
route.
Notre Dame won national championships. Those would be your lucky numbers, Mike.
I don't think they go that high. They stop in the 60s.
All right, damn.
Well, no, it would be. The last one would be 88. My brother was 77. All the ones before that could be numbers. You're right.
It'll work.
You're right. That could actually work pretty well. Oh, that's a pretty good idea. All right. Well, listen, I hope your friend wins because you'll get something. What a great pact. Man, when
Thank
she
you.
hears it. Wait a minute. Let me ask you this.
She's not going to listen to this.
Does she? Not until I call her
I
and
won't
tell her
let
to. Does she know you don't buy tickets?
I think she might have found out after she listened to the last Mystery Crate episode where I may have admitted it, but I think, we've moved past that. Like she knows what the deal is now, and we're still kind of on the same page. So
that's got to be one hell of a friend that would say, I will split the pot with you and you're not even buying tickets. Man, that's
I'm a good
something.
friend to have, Mike. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you haven't baked anything in the last 3 weeks, so I might have something to say about that. We will see. All right, enough of that. Good luck. I hope somebody wins it. I hope you win it. I hope I win it. I hope one of us win it. But there are guys out there that are hitting the lotteries in different ways, and that would be by signing contracts.
What a segue.
How about that, huh?
I've done this for
a couple of months.
All right, so I think we should talk about Kyler Murray's first,
yeah.
right? Because he got the 5-year extension with the Cardinals, $230 million, I think 160 guaranteed. Is that right?
With injury, 160, yes.
So we can debate whether or not he should have gotten that extension in the first place. I think that's maybe an interesting conversation. But the more interesting question that's come out of this contract is what was leaked on Twitter on Monday, which was that there is a homework clause in his contract. Mike, have you ever heard of anything like that before?
So I've seen a lot of clauses. There's a lot of clauses generally that are in there for everybody, like used to be anyway. Now I don't know how it's changed. Like in the off season, no skydiving, no motorcycle driving, no blah, blah. Yeah, things like that, to where somebody can get hurt. And then obviously, that costs you money. There's weight clauses all the time in contracts for guys. It used to be you would get fined if you didn't make weight. Now there's some in the off season where if you're hitting your weight things, you're actually getting money, but there are weight clauses as well. I'm not going to lie, Jess, I've never seen this. So Kyler Murray, the quarterback of the team, the guy theoretically that's supposed to be in first and out last every day, has a 4-hour independent study clause in his contract, where outside of meetings, outside of anything, I guess, at the facility or anything official at the facility, each week of a game week, he has to spend 4 additional hours studying the game plan. And it can't be interrupted. Like he can't be on an iPad, study for a couple minutes, and then get back to his gaming. I guess he's a monster gamer. Can't be interrupted by his gaming, can't be interrupted by TV shows. He has to do, this study in one fell swoop. I guess if you're going to take a break, then I don't know how it's exactly defined, but basically it is defined that if he doesn't do that, he is in default of said contract, which is $160 million guaranteed, $230 overall. So the first thing I thought about this, Jess, when I read it, now I had heard and I had talked about on other shows all the things we had heard about Kyler Murray. And what this clause does is kind of puts the seal, the stamp on it that a lot of the things you heard were true, that this guy just did not put the time in. This flat out, Jess, is so embarrassing to Kyler Murray, in my opinion. I think it is so embarrassing. You are at the highest level in your sport, and it doesn't even have to be the highest level, but you're there and you've played well. We can get into the merit of the contract and all that, and we can do that for a few minutes, but you have now just gotten an unbelievable contract, and you obviously don't do that part of your preparation well enough that they had to put it in a contract or you default on all that money. I can't wait for the first time Kyler Murray is in front of the media and he's asked about this, because I'm really going to be interested to hear his answer to this. Because to me, it's unbelievably embarrassing. It could be a notch in his belt on just what an incredible athlete he is for some of the play, that he's done, whether passing, running, and what he's done. Now, his play certainly continues to need to improve, but to be given that contract, you're doing something pretty special. Again, even though some people weren't sure if you do that, but my thought is always, who are you going to get? And it's not a lot about he's not the best quarterback in the league. He's just the next in line when the contract comes about, and all the mess you can do if you don't sign him. Does he scrub his Instagram again of all the Cardinal stuff? And you go down that road. But to me, Jess, this is embarrassing to Kyler Murray. And here's my comparison. My comparison is to The Bachelorette.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I know you don't watch The Bachelorette.
No.
Okay. So basically, The Bachelorette this year, Jess, has 2 women in it, Gabby and Rachel. So 2 women and a bunch of guys, right? So it is different with the 2 women.
Okay, interesting.
So in the rose ceremony and in the latest edition of it, each lady was giving out a rose to a guy that they, she wanted to keep, having a relationship with possibly. Mm-hmm. So what happened to Rachel? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. She called up a guy. I don't even know the guy's name. She said, Lenny. Lenny comes walking up.
Nina Kimes' dog, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. She has the rose, and she's looking over the thing. Lenny. And, actually, I know one of the guy's names. His nickname is Meatball. So.
Okay.
She calls up Meatball. Meatball comes up, and she says, Meatball, will you accept this rose? And Meatball is one of 3 guys who said, Rachel, sorry, I'm kind of here for Gabby, not you.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Again, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now, that's embarrassing in and of itself. If that happened behind closed doors and nobody knew about it, still embarrassing to Rachel, right? But not as embarrassing as have it happen on national TV in front of everybody. That's my comparison. This Kyler Murray clause, had no one known about it, had it just stayed, it's still embarrassing to Kyler if he has any kind of sense at all of how embarrassing that should be to you, that they had to put that in there. But now it's public. Now everybody knows, dude, you not only don't work enough off the field, but the team felt they had to put in a clause that would void your $160 million guaranteed contract if you didn't study an extra 4 hours. Just an extra 4 hours. There are people who study an extra 4 hours a day, let alone a week.
So I have a few follow-up questions for
Okay.
you. My first one is what do you think the average amount of independent study using the term from that clause is? That, like, say Trevor Lawrence or like Joe Burrow or one of the other younger quarterbacks does outside of the facility?
It would be stunning to me if most don't already do that. When I say that, I mean get there before everybody else or early in the facility before you're officially start anything and you're doing stuff. When you're on your lunch break and you go into the film room and you do stuff. At the end of the day, that's when we did a lot of it, especially when I was in Philly. When everything was over, we had our meetings at the end of the day, we went back into the film room and we watched more. And now, Jess, it's so much easier.
You got the iPads.
It's
the
exactly
Microsoft
right.
Surface, whichever one is sponsoring the league
exactly
right now.
Right. We literally had to weave 8mm tape into a machine that made that sound, that's how we had to watch film. I know you don't, but that's what we had to, that's how we had to load the projector.
I was thinking that you like looked at pictures and then like flipped like a picture book and you flipped it really fast to see it move.
Oh, that's just not nice is what that is.
Okay, well, my second follow-up question, Mike, nice. Moving on from me age-shaming
but
you.
to your point, you're right. Nowadays, these guys, it's downloaded instantly on their iPad or their computer. They're watching at home. I mean, it's again, to me, it's embarrassing.
So my other question then would be, why did this get leaked to the public? Whose best interest is it in? Because I know it makes Kyler Murray look bad, but doesn't it also make the Cardinals look bad that they just spent a ton of money on a quarterback who they have to contractually obligate to study film?
And you asked the perfect question is, who does this benefit? And you're right, it certainly doesn't benefit Kyler. And I agree with you. Maybe there's someone in the organization who felt this will justify, listen, all the stuff you heard about Kyler is true. And listen, earlier in the year, he scrubbed.
Then why'd you pay him?
Because he's good enough for you to ask the question, if you don't, who you going to get.
Right.
Because that's always the question to me. If you're not going to sign him, who are you going to have? Because they have a team, that's right there in the playoffs. So what quarterback are you going to get that can keep you there? So at some point, you have to write up a contract and gulp hard and say, man, I hope this works out. Now, you could go other routes. He has 2 more years left on his deal, right? I think 2 more, this new deal doesn't kick in for a couple of years. He's still off the rookie deal. But it's like, okay, so now do you risk him getting mad? And I don't know if he's going to say I'm not going to play because then he's not going to get paid. But then you ruin that relationship because they're talking about that with Lamar Jackson, which we can get into. Is Lamar just going to play this year, play on the franchise for a couple of years? So now you're worrying about relationships. Because do I think, would I have given Kyler in a vacuum, Kyler Murray that money? No, I would not have. I think he's a really good quarterback, but I'm still skeptical of the next step. But I also understand he was one of the ones next in line to get the big deal. He's now second. I think Aaron Rodgers is averaging $50 million a year, and Kyler is 46.1, 100,000 ahead of Deshaun Watson at 46. So you get caught in that. Lamar Jackson's coming up. We'll talk about Joe Burrow after this season. He's coming up. So it's not about always being the best, though, when you're talking about Lamar, who some people didn't have in their top 10, which is amazing, and Joe Burrow, the way he's playing, they're going to be the next highest paid quarterbacks in the league while not being the best quarterback in the league. I get the economics of it. I understand it. So we can always say in a vacuum to have my excuse of why I wouldn't pay him, but I get it. I get why you do it. But going back to your question, Jess, I don't know how it would benefit the Cardinals either by saying, we just handed a guy basically $160 million guaranteed, and we don't think he works hard enough off the field and is ready in the game plan. So again, I can't wait to hear what he has to say, when he's asked this question about it, because that's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, and the Cardinals have built a team around him and what he can do and his skills. So he had a lot of leverage in that sense because they obviously didn't want to start over. They gave Cliff Kingsbury an extension, even though he's got a dubious history finishing second halves of seasons. Steve Keim got an extension too. So I agree with you. I'm not really sure whose best interest it is to leak that to Ian Rappaport, because now it seems like both the Cardinals and Kyler Murray are kind of getting clowned for it.
Yes.
But my takeaway from it is, if you're talented enough, you don't have to do your homework, and you might get paid $160 million. I don't know. I mean, it's...
Listen, when
gig.
your ability, listen, and again, there is certainly kudos to Kyler for the fact that he can step on the field and play so well. Now, again, there's overstudying, how much is the right amount of studying. That's for every person to determine.
Different, I think, yeah.
I played with great players. Some barely looked at the game plan, and others, I've always said his name, Seth Joyner could be the most studious teammate I've ever had in my life, from game plan to film to preparation, and he was a great player. And I played with other great players who basically were like, I'm just going to go make a play, and they did. But it's always different, Jess. I think you know this with the quarterback position, right? Because they have to know everything. On the field. Everybody's position. What if he doesn't get the slide protection the right way? What if he doesn't see the safety blitz that's coming that's apparent in game plans and or film? Because that's what's going to happen. When he makes mistakes, are his own teammates going to wonder, is he studying enough? And the reason I probably say no to that is because they already know. They've got a sample size of Kyler Murray and his actions and what he does. And we had been hearing this for over a year, that he's a guy that just doesn't really prepare as much as he should. He prepares obviously some, but maybe over and above as much as others do. So we'll see. Again, and you're right. Some people don't need that, but you always think there's a quarterback, that they because they have to know everything. But let's see with his play. That's what we're going to find out with his play.
We will. Let's move over to the AFC North and talk about Joe Burrow and
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson for a second. So we could probably talk about Lamar Jackson first because his situation's more in flux. So there's been a lot. He wasn't in the big ESPN top 10 NFL quarterback rankings, which was
Right.
shocking.
Yeah.
It sparked a whole conversation about whether or not him having an agent is good or bad. But to me, Mike,
he's got a momager, right? His momager.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
he's negotiating his own deal.
Yep.
So it seems like the longer he waits, the better position he's been in because all these other quarterbacks
Yep.
have gotten deals. So I'm wondering what your take on that is.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I mean, everybody was questioning why you doing your own deal, and you're going to lose money doing this. No, he's not. I mean, some will say even with the deal he gets, maybe he could have got more with an agent. I don't
True.
know. But he's going to be the highest paid quarterback. He's going to be. Again, his number is up. This is his 5th year, unless he doesn't want the deal. And so then there's also the added thing, Jess, of responsibility. Because we've had the one contract, the Deshaun Watson contract, where it was all guaranteed, correct? Mm-hmm. And everybody is saying that because in hockey and basketball, baseball, those contracts are all guaranteed. But they're not in the CBA that way. They're not written that way that says they have to be. That's just how business ended up working. And people are wondering if that can happen in the NFL for every player. I don't think it can because it's more violent than the other sports. Hockey, though, maybe not. But you get a lot of guys hurt. You get a lot of guys missing time, so you'd be paying a lot of salary for guys missing time. But for these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, I mean, you look at the deal, that are going on, and Lamar's Jackson deal should be the highest deal, and it should be fully guaranteed. Now, it's just a matter of, will he demand that and say, I'm not signing the deal unless it's fully guaranteed, and will Baltimore go for that? Because if those quarterbacks start to do it, that's going to trickle down to other quarterbacks and maybe some of the other top position players. Again, I don't think it's going to happen for everybody, but there are players have power who are in that position. Joe Burrow, if he has another year like he did last year, again, it'll just be his 3rd year this year, and they can't extend him until after his 3rd year. And then you extend him and you still get the last 2 years of his rookie deal that before your cap really starts to jump up. So he's another one, if he's in that position, if he's the next guy up, that you look for a deal that starts with a 3, $300 million, and you have it fully guaranteed. Again, remember, Patrick Mahomes has the biggest deal at $450 million, but it's not all guaranteed. And his average every year is a paltry $45 million.
It's nothing.
He's 4th on the list behind Rodgers.
That's like
Kyler.
a 16th of our Mega Millions winnings, Mike.
That's exactly right.
Please.
Exactly right. So, I mean, I get it with Lamar. I mean, Lamar's going to win. Just how much he wins is how much he deems he wants to win.
And he doesn't have to pay an agent, Mike.
That's exactly right. And agents' fees are anywhere from 2 to 3% usually in that area there, but that's 2 to 3% off of, say, $300 million. Quick math is 333. 2% of $300 million is $6 million, right? 300 million, 30 million, 3 million, 2%, that's 1%.
I'm not going to check your math, but yeah, I think
6
you got
million.
it.
So yeah, you're saving that. And it's almost like the rookie wage scale where you kind of get slotted in. Everybody knows he's next. Everybody knows he's a top 10 quarterback. So everybody knows where he's going to get slotted basically money-wise, give or take a few million here or there. So that to me is going to be the biggest question with Lamar and then with Burrow. Will these guys fight to get their contracts fully guaranteed?
Yeah, and the AFC North is full of good quarterbacks now between Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky. It's going to be a...
Did you put Mitch Trubisky in with those other 3 guys just because he's a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback?
I mean, I had
Do you understand? And listen,
I had to give him a shout out.
Mitch went to a high school, right by where I grew up. My brother's kids know Mitch. Mitch is a little low on that list.
Oh, come on.
Come on. I mean, seriously?
All right, moving
Joe
on.
Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky.
Speaking of the no skydiving clause in some NFL contracts, that made me think of a very famous athlete who skydives regularly. I'm not sure if you know this, but Lewis Hamilton is an avid skydiver.
I did not know that. I see a lot of those guys surfing. I see it more than a few surfing when I was watching Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. Yeah, there's a few. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I think like Lance Stroll maybe surfs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
There was probably a handful of guys when they would like follow them off the track.
Yeah.
And a lot of them would be on the beach or surfing. Some were golfing.
It's that core strength thing. I think Lewis is just like an adrenaline junkie. I think he's just trying to kind of get like some sort of high speed sports, adrenaline fix with that.
We're going to get into F1 because we're going to do this new thing that I'm really happy we're going to do. But have you ever skydived?
No, never.
See, I want to. My wife won't let me now. But I should have done it earlier in life. I don't know if I want to do it now. I don't know if my knees would buckle on me or whatever. Sydney did it.
Really?
And she has they nowadays.
The GoPro and stuff.
They film everything. Another person.
Oh, imagine skydiving like 30 years ago and having no evidence of it. I would
Nothing.
be livid.
All you say is, "Yeah, I skydived." Oh, did you really? How'd it go? It went fine. I lived. Okay, cool, and that's it. And
You should just tell people you did it in the 80s.
I should.
Lie
But it
about
was
it.
cool to watch. I would have loved. What's the most adrenaline rushed thing you have done?
Ride a kiddie roller coaster at Universal.
So, you didn't even say ride a roller coaster. You
No,
said
like the
kiddie?
Hagrid like kids roller coaster. It's like you're on a hippogriff and you're flying around Hogwarts. There's maybe like a 10-foot drop. Yeah, that was crazy. Oh my God. Told everyone about it in high school.
Yeah. So, do you know ride roller coasters?
I don't like roller coasters. I don't like anything like that. I'm not interested. All right? Just not for me. It's not for me.
You are crazy. Wow.
Thank you.
You
Are you a
wild.
roller coaster person?
Oh, I love roller coasters.
Really?
I can't do the spinning rides. Like, if I were at Disney World and did the frickin' teacups,
Ooh,
just
the
those little
teacups.
teacups where they spin, or, God forbid, at like the local carnivals around, they have that thing
yeah.
called the rotor, where you put your back against the wall.
Yes,
and
I
it's
know.
a big
I've done
thing
that. I've
spin.
done that.
Ruins my day.
Yeah.
Ruins my day. I can't do it. But, I'm a roller coaster junkie. I love the up and down, the speed.
Have you been to Cedar Point? Didn't you grow up near Cedar Point?
I have been to Cedar Point so many times. Yes, it used to that there was always a place like after prom. The next day was always at Cedar Point.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow.
we were kids. I was on a swim team for years.
Northeast
We'd go to
Ohio
Cedar
of you.
Point. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Me and Chris went on a vacation with our friends who we went to Africa with, the Perianos, but this was just the parents. So it was me and Chris and Alexis and Mike. We went to Costa Rica. And we zip lined over like this monster, forest.
Wow.
A really high up zip line, and it was a lot of fun. Really dug that. And I have bungee jumped back when bungee jumping was a thing.
Wow. I think bungee jumping is still a thing.
Is it? I
think so. Some friends of mine in college did it in like Switzerland or something.
I enjoyed it. Now I did it for a TV show, and I kid you, and it was the first time I ever bungee jumped, and I did it for a TV show. And I did it. They were ready to go. They're counting me down. And I fell off and did the bungee jump. And the cameraman said, I missed it.
No.
I had to go up and do it again.
My
And I
God.
thought, this is classic. I'm going to die this time.
Yeah.
Because I did it and they said they missed it. So now I'm going back out up to help the show out. And there's no doubt it snaps and I'm done. But it
Probably
didn't.
felt so relieved after you finished the first one. You were like, it's over. I'm done. I did it. You're
Yeah.
welcome. Goodbye. And then
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, actually, psych.
I was literally, finishing the bouncing hanging there, and the camera guy was right there. He's like, dude, I missed it. I didn't get the shot I wanted.
Oh, God.
I said some really, really bad words to him, and then I hiked my ass
Was it
back up
scarier
there.
the second time or the first time?
I'll tell you why it was the first time it was like more, I didn't know what to expect. The second time I knew what to expect, but I knew I was doing them a favor, so I was actually more nervous the second time, like, something's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. And luckily it didn't, but it was pretty fun, except when I heard those words, I didn't get the shot. Some bullshit. But so back to Lewis Hamilton. So this is what I like doing, because I love listening to it on Le Batard Show. You do an F1 minute, and it's awesome. So I thought, well, why make you work twice? right?
Exactly.
Why make you do it again? Why don't
I
we
have
just...
a no work clause in my contract with DraftKings. So
there you go. And that's a good one to have. And I don't know the deal you have with the Levitard show if you're not allowed to move, what you do on there, that content over to our podcast, but we're going to test it.
Okay.
Because the French Grand Prix went on. I watched it. I mean, with Charles Leclerc, oh my God. I mean, third time the guy's winning a race this year, and he ends up out. He spins out on I think the 18th lap, goes into the wall. But you do a F1 minute for them, and I thought, let's just use your work there and their work and use it on our pod. That means we're working less and we still get great content. What do you think?
Hell yeah, here it is.
Non, Monsieur Christophe, c'est non vrai.
What?
I guess it's time for the F1 minute here, even though I want to hear that
What
sound
gave it
again.
away?
Je suis stressé pour les minutes de Formule 1. J'ai besoin d'énergie. Énergie.
Let's go,
Wait for the
energy.
beat drop. Oh, energy.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Circuit Powercar pour le Grand Prix de France. Les températures élevées sur le circuit signifient que la gestion des pneus va être essentielle. Charles Leclerc, le pilote automobile monégasque, fait face à Max Verstappen pour la première place. Le pilote Ferrari doit gagner pour rester dans les championnats. Mais non! Quelle horreur! Une catastrophe! Sacré bleu! Charles Leclerc sort de la course! Encore de la malchance! Il est fini! Une honte! Max Verstappen prend une grosse avance. Lewis Hamilton, le pilote Mercedes, est 12e. Carlos Sainz, l'autre pilote Ferrari, a commencé à la 19e place, d'où sa pénalité pour le changement du moteur. Et les roues contre roues avec Sergio Perez, mais l'imbécile de chez Ferrari recommence. Max Verstappen a fini premier de la course. Carlos Sainz est le pilote toujours. Lando, l'enfant Norris, a terminé 7e. Lance Stroll a terminé avec un point. Félicitations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
Wow! Oh my God!
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Merci.
Oh my God! Was there an imbecile in there? Did you say
Les
imbecile?
imbéciles de chez Ferrari recommencent.
That sounded so exciting. I have no idea what happened.
Les pauvres Charles Leclerc, les pauvres.
My God, that was incredible.
That was
I
really
am
good.
so jealous that you
Merci
can do that.
Christophe, merci Guillermo.
All right, that's Jess's Formula One minute, F1 minute that she does on the Lebertard show. I love it, so we're stealing it and we're bringing it over here. And I know you do a F1 podcast as well. So Avi, I know you're all in. I have been all on in this. I'm still stunned at Leclerc spinning out and in the lead on this. He could have cut the lead that Verstappen has to 31 points, but because he crashed and Verstappen ended up winning it, he now is, I think, has a lead of like 63 points or something like that. So he really hurt himself, and he owned up, saying it was his mistake.
Well, he did say it was his mistake, and I want to know more details on if it was really his mistake, because he said right after it happened that he was having issues with his throttle, which he was having last week in Austria as well. So I would like to check the tape on that still, early in the week, so we don't know exactly what happened. But yeah, maybe he just screwed up. And that's why Max Verstappen is so good, because he doesn't make any mistakes. He's like a driver robot, Mike.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel really bad for Charles. That the scream that he let out after he crashed was among the most devastating noises I've ever heard watching sports.
And no one's catching Max, right? I mean, he's going to win the championship, right? I mean, I find it, the fall off he would have to have with, I mean, I know there's a decent amount of races left, but I mean, he would really have to shit the bed to not get this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that sucks so much for Ferrari is that they've really caught up in terms of speed the last few weeks. That was what Red Bull's big advantage was early on in the season. They had a faster car on the straightaways, and it looked like in France, on the straightaways, Charles Leclerc was able to stay ahead of him for the first, 10 laps of the race before Red Bull went to, put Verstappen in the pit lane and try to do kind of a strategic workaround to get around Leclerc. So, that's what's devastating for Ferrari. They keep getting in their own ways, whether it's their strategy calls with Carlos Sainz, whether it's their power unit exploding. They keep having all these reliability issues. And so I was very sad to see that. But Mike, I was expecting a compliment to my French speaking skills. What did you think about that?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm still a little hurt. You know, you ripped me a little earlier in the podcast. You mocked me about flipping the pages, like drawing on the pages. You haven't
like one of these.
Exactly. You haven't baked in like 3 weeks. You know, and I always love talking about that. So you know what? Maybe I was a little standoffish. I apologize. I do apologize for that. Did you go with the French with Babbel? Is that how you learned it with Babbel? I mean that's the way everybody learns how to speak a different language.
I have been doing my Babbel lessons.
Yes.
Promo code. I can't remember what our promo code is. What's our promo code on Babbel, Mike?
I think it's Golic.
Okay, promo code Golic.
I think it's promo code Golic. I love it, by the way. And so
what language are you learning?
Well, you know, I took a couple of years of Spanish when I was in school, and I've forgotten everything except I can count a little bit or just know the basics. So I'm trying to learn more of that. So I'm starting there because I have a base in it. I took it already just to kind of make myself feel good. And then I think I'll expand out, you know, to other languages after that.
I got you. Well, yeah, I took French in high school, and this week on the Le Batard show was literally the only time I have ever used it at any point in my life. So thank you to Formula One once again for having such an international appeal that I'm able to use my Romance language skills for once.
Good job out of you. One other thing I have to ask in F1, do you think Lewis Hamilton's starting to make a little bit of a run? I mean, we were talking about him in the beginning of the year, couldn't get on the podium, how Mercedes was behind once they made the changes. Now, you know, you got Russell is 5th and Lewis is 6th in the driver standings. Lewis is 6th. He's the last one that's over 100 points. Everybody else is below that. Again, Verstappen is way out in front. Do we see some sort of, you know, mid to late season run here for Hamilton, who took 2nd in this race?
I don't think Lewis has the car to win a championship this season because I think Mercedes is starting so much farther behind the Red Bull and the Ferrari.
I agree with that. Just wondering how much he could maybe move up.
Yeah, I think he's been on the podium the last 4 weeks in a row. He was in third place, and then 2nd place with this race. So that's a really good sign that Mercedes is able to kind of work on some of their issues and at least have a car that's within striking distance of the Red Bull and the Ferrari, even though it's not quite there yet. But I think what this does show you, because after the end of last season, there was a lot of people wondering if Lewis was going to even keep racing anymore because of what happened in Abu Dhabi with Max Verstappen at the end of last season, and whether or not his heart was really in it. Because this season, when Mercedes realized that they had pretty much whiffed on the new regulations in this year's car, with Lewis Hamilton, who's already a 7-time champion, 37 years old, a celebrity in his own right, multimillionaire. He has really nothing left to prove. Is he really going to stick around during a rebuild? But I think what it shows you over the last few weeks is that there's kind of a renewed confidence that the team, maybe it won't be this year. Maybe the car is too far gone this year, and they're already too far behind in the standings. But maybe next year, Lewis will feel more confident and be ready, and the car will be more ready, and they'll be able to actually be competitive against the Red Bull and the Ferrari, and maybe he'll go for his 8th championship next year. I don't know. We'll see.
I would be stunned if he left. I think I think I'm with you. I think not only he, but Mercedes as a whole is like, okay, this isn't us. You know, we're used to being at the top or right near the top. And I think they are. I think they understand it's not going to happen this year, and that they're going to work their asses off to try and get back up, you know, compete with the Red Bulls and Ferraris next year and try and be at the top of the pack. We will see. We still have a long way to go. We have now Jess's F1 Minute to listen to every week when there's a race, so we do like that. Maybe that's what you need to do. Every country it's in, you need to speak a little bit of that language.
So now I have to learn Hungarian?
Yes, you do. Yes. Just a line. I mean,
do
I'm
they
not
have that on Babbel?
I'm not. You know, I'm not sure. But all I'm asking is for a couple of words. So figure out what your minute is going to be, and I know you race through it. Get it? Race through it. F1. Blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
I got you.
Maybe a sentence. You know, you can get a few words and you can fit them in there. That every time. Okay, you got to speak the language of the country the race is in.
All right, I'll work on it. We'll see.
Right. I know you will. We got a number of races left there. We talked a lot of football today. Let's finish up real quick, Jess. The fact that in a little over a week we had the first football game, preseason game, right? I mean,
I thought you were going to bring up the fact that the Choco Taco has been retired.
oh, you know what? You're right. Football can wait. We can talk about that next week. Is Choco Taco your favorite? Or no?
It's a top 2 for me.
Yeah.
Strawberry shortcake and Choco Taco.
Strawberry shortcake.
It's so good. The strawberry shortcake ice cream.
Yeah.
What's wrong with strawberry shortcake?
I'm just not into the fruity type of things. I'm
What's your
not bad
favorite?
that way. The Choco Taco is right there.
All right.
I mean,
so you're pretty upset.
And could it really be that unpopular now? Because I thought it was unbelievably popular. Unless I haven't heard the reason that they're getting rid of it. I mean, when something goes away, usually is it because, it just becomes not as profitable or people don't want it as much? There's got to be a business reason for this happening. I don't understand.
They said it's done. It's getting discontinued. It's done for good, Mike. I don't know. I don't understand either. Maybe there will be a crowdsourcing attempt to bring back Choco Taco now that they have had this public discontinuation of their product, but we can only hope.
I would say if you've never had one, try and go get one because I'm sure stores still
There's
have
going to
them
be a
until
run
they're
on
out.
Choco Tacos like toilet
yep.
paper 2 years ago.
Yep. Well, here's what's interesting. That they're part of Klondike, okay?
Right.
And a quote here, I'm reading about it. Over the past 2 years, we have experienced an unprecedented spike in demand across our portfolio and have had to make very tough decisions to ensure availability of our full portfolio nationwide. A necessary but unfortunate part of this process is that we sometimes must discontinue products, even a beloved item like Choco Taco. Bullshit! That is such horseshit. That is such like executive speak for not giving us the real reason. I don't want to hear that.
I don't like that.
We're so successful
Right.
that as part of our success, we have to discontinue some stuff. I call complete BS
After
on
40
that.
years. The
Yes.
Choco Taco's been around for 40 years.
Oh God! Oh, I just love again. If you don't know what a Choco Taco is, first I'm stunned. Here's the definition of it: a waffle cone shaped like a taco shell, filled with fudge swirled ice cream, and then dipped in chocolate and peanuts.
Ugh.
Oh, it's so good.
I need to go get a Choco Taco. I love that excuse though. It's like, you know what? Our Klondike bars are flying off the shelves, so we got to discontinue one of the most legendary ice cream products in the middle of summer, and we're never going to make them again because we're just doing so great as a company. I'm with you, Mike. Something fishy is going on here.
Something really, really fishy is going on, but I think all we can say at this point is R.I.P. Choco Taco.
Rest in peace, Choco Taco. We'll see you next week.